Good evening, everybody. Before we get started, we're going to do a bit of a mini exercise. I'm assuming everyone has their cell phone? We're going to take a photograph, and it's a selfie. So I'll let you do that. Doesn't have to be perfect, just a selfie. I hear a lot of laughter. I think it's going well. Now for me, this statement, the greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. Walter summed it up in just that statement for me. So I'm going to give you a bit of a backdrop to who I am and how I got to be here. But first things first, how many people have ever lived or traveled to Africa at any point in time? Good. You'll know what I'm talking about. I was born in Harare, which is in Zimbabwe. And if you told me one day that I would be standing here in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, I definitely would have looked at you funny. My life is filled with naysayers at every turn. And if I had believed them, I think I would have cashed in on the millions. The thing is, teachers and coaches always tell you to dream big. But the truth is they never give you any clues as to what to dream about. So this African girl, supported by her parents and her family, decided to take on the world. My first introduction to this challenge was through World Vision International. And it was through an ambassador program, but not just an ambassador program, it was a World Vision Ambassador program. And the idea was to put 51 absolute strangers from other countries together and try to prove to the rest of the world that we could coexist respectfully and do humanitarian work alongside. So, okay, that's easy, right? But there's a catch. You had to win that place first. So you can imagine, there was a public speaking challenge. You had to play a musical instrument. You had to be able to sing. And you had to have additional talents. So that's easy, right? You think. Now there's more to that. There's 40 people who get shortlisted for this one person can only win. Now what are the odds that when the majority are privileged white Zimbabweans and there's only 5 of you who are different, meaning that we're black, those are not very good odds. So before we even go further than that, the odds don't look the greatest. I'm definitely dealt with a losing hand, but you know what? I surprised myself, and the panel of judges, I won. So that was tick 1, World Challenge, here we go. So now that triggered a series of events and 1 year of being an ambassador and working with other people around the world. In my lifetime, I would have never thought I would have met, sat, spoken to Nelson Mandela. I would have met, sat, spoken to Kofi Annan. I would have debated in the World Health Organization with people who definitely seemed to know a lot more than me at the time. I would take on humanitarian community work around the world with Habitat for Humanity and build stuff. Really? Me? I don't think so. I would do food programs alongside Red Cross. That's just stuff that you tell yourself it's going to happen to somebody, but not me. So after all this experience and exchanges and looking at life differently, you would think that was enough, but not quite. There was more to come. The next big challenge for me was actually taking that trip from Africa in Zimbabwe to fly across to the US and go to Los Angeles. So you can imagine walking through immigration, and that was the first direct impact of, you know what, you must definitely have gotten off the wrong plane. So I'm standing there, got the immigration official, and they decided to have a conversation on my behalf, with me present, of course. So I got, any pets to declare? Miss your treehouse? How many fruits can you actually carry? Did you buy your clothes to travel to come out here? From Rhodesia? And I'm looking at them thinking, it's not called that anymore, actually. All of that, I had to stand there and listen. I mean, you're kind of thinking, I want to just go to the other side and get on with my life. But first contact is telling me, You don't belong here. You really need to go wherever you belong. But I decided to be the bigger person, and I humored them. So I said, oh, you know what? Had to leave the monkey at home. Hopefully him and the elephant are getting along pretty well. The tree house will be a mess by the time I get back. But you know what? Here we are anyway. That's Africa, right? Don't worry about it. So after having noticed that and looked at his colleague and knocked on the window and said, got a smart one. Just got to let it through, and stamped it. So self-belief for me has been a baptism of fire from the very beginning. Everything screams at you. You don't belong. You don't qualify. You're not what we had in mind. Sorry, that place is filled. Better luck next time. You just missed them. Can you manage that? Do you understand? Are you lost? Where are you from? Really from? Are you allowed here? Is this your office? Then on the flip side, you're really passionate. I think she's a little bit angry. I don't know, I think we'll make some changes. And here's my favorite one. We're an equal opportunity employer. Interesting. Over and over, self-belief takes a beating. The odds are stacked up. All your core beliefs are destroyed in seconds. Your confidence, your resolve, your awareness, your relevance, your value, and your worth seem to depreciate continuously as you continue to lose. The loudest voice is not even from the external stuff, but all the things you hear yourself telling yourself and repeating to yourself because you've had to hear them so many times. So there's no shortcut to success, unfortunately, or winning. This lesson in life taught me, first class, that you have to be able to endure the challenges. Find the solutions. Time waits for no man, right? So I've had to create a personal survival method based on what happens in my life to cope with that. So here we go. First things first, you have to be daring and defiant. You decide what's your worth, and you do that by self-discovery. You discover your potential and limitations, strengths, opportunities, SWOT they like to call it, but this one is on yourself. You control your influencers. Like myself, I decided, you know what? With all this media stuff, I'd rather be the trendsetter rather than wait for everybody else to tell me what I'm supposed to do. No is your choice. A lot of times we're taught to be polite. When you're an entrepreneur, unfortunately, you have to take on more jobs than you want to take on, longer hours than you anticipate, and endure more than the average person whilst having a couple of your friends tell you, you know what, just give it up. You know what, go on the benefits, it's easier. You're going to be depressed eventually. But that's not a winner's mentality. You have to be self-aware. And then there's that wonderful expression, only if the shoe fits. And I say this to everyone, you've got to like what you do, you've got to love what you do, and you've got to own what you do. Second part, decisive and deliberate. It's unmistakable. That's your personality. One of a kind, unique. Nobody else like you. It's beyond doubt. That's your character. That's the things that nobody else anywhere else can manufacture. It's intentional. It's a mindset. You have to determine against everything, I am going to get this done. It's got consequences. There's a downside. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But regardless, you still got this. The worst part, it's custom made. I wish I could tell you every success story is the same. I wish I could reassure you that what I'm going through and the next person is going to be identical. But sadly, it's an original piece. An original is hard to beat, apparently. And that's you. The last one is determination. There's purpose when you have self-belief. And this, to me, has unlocked the potential that I did not know I had. There's calculation. Any person who's in business knows that you've got to take a risk and you've got to be willing to work out all the odds in order for you to get something, at least a profit or success about it. So solve the puzzle. And a lot of times you have the tools, but you haven't discovered that you have them. There's willpower. Now I can imagine on so many occasions, even though I know I've given it my best, I've tried everything I can do, and there's nobody else standing behind you with pom-poms and cheering you on because you're the only person you have to face at the end of the day. And I've had to dig deeper than I thought it was possible. Sometimes with less resource, sometimes with nobody else to echo the solution. I've had to find it. You have to dig deeper. And that's what it really costs. So in short, you have to be a superhero. Now, I'm a Marvel's superhero fanatic. Every superhero movie that's out there, I deliberately watch it. Why? Because I've got to be Spider-Man one time. I've got to be Aquaman another time. I've got to be Iron Man sometime. I've got to be Thor, my favorite. At least that hammer can do a lot of stuff, but I wish I could have that in real life. Not possible. I've got to be the Black Widow. She's got some interesting moves, and I think she knows how to deliver when it comes to a fight. Then you've got to be Captain America, who's now been overshadowed by Captain Marvel. So hey, the list is endless. So you have to pick a superhero. Pick their specific superhero attribute and turn it into one of yours. You've got to be persistent. Now, every time somebody said no, every time somebody said it was not going to happen, every friend who said it was not something that you asked for, I dared the odds. I was relentless. I had a girl once in the office, and every morning she walked in with a can of Relentless. Strange name for a drink that's supposed to keep you energized, but that's just it. It's Relentless. Massive can, and I'm assuming after you've had some of that, you have energy to go for miles. So be relentless. All's fair in love and war, right? My statement to that is, it's not over till the fat lady sings. Literally. That's just how you have to do it. And you decide when the fat lady sings, rather than you watch everything fall apart and everything just turn into something else you didn't think of. So for me, self-belief is all about you. Every experience, every journey, every negative, every positive, the power is in your hands to turn that into something that is unique, that is custom-made, that has willpower, that will continue to drive you when everyone else has nothing else to hold on to. That's the relentless. That's the willpower. That's what self-belief means to me. So, in closing, never let the odds keep you from pursuing what you know in your heart you're meant to do. So when we started, we took selfies. Can everybody take your selfie and bring it up for yourself? So now I'm assuming everybody's looking at their selfie. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I have to say to you and your selfie. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. So that selfie, that is you. Go and do all of those things people said you couldn't do. Thank you.